Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Optic versus FaZe is coming up on an unbelievable Sunday of sport tomorrow, but Scump, despite his phenomenal performances so far this year, has still been hinting about potential retirement down the line, hoping that slide cancelling and the current movement meta does not return to the upcoming Call of Duty game, as that may well yet cut his career slightly shorter than he would like it to be. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, congratulations Smirk, baby's on the way. I was actually thinking like which other former COD pros or like pros, I know that Killer, Karma of course, aBeZy as well, like there's probably a few other ones. I think TP might have one on the way, I'm not really sure. Great news to see this type of stuff. This I also wanted to mention because I don't think I've talked about this on the channel before, but I thought it was so crazy before that I never really talked about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Activision actually do have a patent filed somewhere to do this type of stuff. So as Cruz says, spent $600 on controllers this year and had issue after issue with the sprint buttons. Just realised it's his Vanguard account that apparently TacSprint is busted on. Of course, we're going to talk about TacSprint and slide cancelling here in just a second. And all the controllers work fine on a different account. Makes perfect sense. Now, Looty has made this point a while ago, saying this at the start of April, that he's tested 10 different Battle.net accounts here on Vanguard, and all of them have like somewhat different feel to the game. Some of them have strong aim assist, others have like barely any at all. Some accounts feel delayed, some accounts are unable to TacSprint. So this at the time I was like, okay, surely this is just in his head or something, like something's going on here. But a lot of people have kind of said that they feel this is the case. If you guys have any experience with this, let me know in the comments, because this is what Ghosty says. Of course, I recently kicked our guest from the team that Clayster was on, but as he describes, aim assist, bullet registration, tactical sprint, and a few other things are based on percentage chance for each account, with CDL accounts getting priority. So this is pretty mind-blowing, but I wouldn't be all that surprised, right? Because I guess the idea is that if you're a good player in public matches, in order to counter you, they're just going to make your account literally worse and give you worse aim assist, so that I guess the bad players have a better experience. And maybe the CDL accounts, because they don't play any public games, and they've basically got no games on their accounts at all apart from customs, that they're kind of unaffected by this, you could argue, and they're kind of playing on the default state. Now, the crazy thing is that even if Activision are going to do this, which already is outrageous, the fact that this carries over to custom games is just ridiculous, right? Like, you're trying to play a custom game on your account, and you're playing on a different aim assist and tactical sprint settings or whatever than the other guy, just because you might be like, I don't know, you might have a better KD in pubs, I don't understand it. Like, this game's crazy. It just goes to show if this is actually the case, that, like, their interest in the competitive scene is literally non-existent. So let me know if you guys have had any experience with this type of stuff, because, like, honestly, I thought it was so incredible, but a lot of people have been talking about this lately. Apparently, the CDL accounts are kind of exempt from this, but supposedly that's going to have to the thing that we have to worry about in future seasons. You've got to make sure you get a good account, because if you get a bad account, well, unlucky, you're going to get less, aim assist, tac sprint, this type of stuff. Unbelievable scenes. This will to mention, because, of course, Drazah back in action later on today. We were wondering, let's say Los Angeles Thieves have a hard time tonight. What is the future for that roster? Now, apparently, Drazah was one of the only guys really using the auto that actually was using sleight of hand on it, as opposed to using the tight grip, which seemingly is the way to go. And well, he reckons that if he pulls that on, as maybe he will do later today, he's going to absolutely fry. So we'll see if that worked out in their favour, but really it's been their SMG line that's been rather inconsistent, or at least Kenny's kind of rolling that SMG line has been rather inconsistent recently. They play Seattle Surge tonight. Of course, we'll look at the standings, look at the schedule here in a few minutes' time. This also thought was kind of cool. I believe Brian Stats pulled these numbers, and then Scrimmenthal kind of makes it into a nice little post, really, comparing the first 22 events that CleanX played back in the day, and also Simp has played in the modern day. Of course, at rather different times in the modern day, the events are rather different, maybe the competition's a little bit better, but I mean, still, rather interesting, actually. They both have the same amount of finals appearances out of 22 events, 17 finals appearances for both, but Crim's win rate in the finals was way higher, 14 championships from his first 22 events in COD. Simp's only won 8. Average placing, though, 2.36 versus 2.39, incredibly similar, and the highest KD in an individual event, Crim is a slightly higher one than Simp had, but a 1.35, maybe that was London 2019. So I thought it was really interesting to look at. I don't know what more Simp has to do, but, as Simp's career progresses, of course, like, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Simp to win anywhere near the amount of championships that CleanX has won, just based on how Call of Duty is run nowadays, how it used to be. But, I'm sure the GOAT conversation for Simp will kind of really kick up in a few years' time if he continues on the reign that he currently has. But let's talk about the Scump side of things. I thought this is kind of cool that Lima put on the social media for the Breaking Point side a few days ago for you guys to figure out. But, there's been some talk, of course, from Scump that, despite the fact that he's probably a top 5 player in this game, he still likes to talk about the potential of retirement. I know that we've kind of always heard, like, Scump and Clayster, these guys the last few seasons, talk about it and hint at it, and then even when it turned out that Clayster might be in a spot where he maybe, is kind of forced into retirement effectively, he's still looking to compete in challenges, looking to come back next year anyway. So despite the words, he still seems to be very interested in playing, and I imagine Scump is rather similar. But for guys like CleanX, for example, we don't really see that, right? He doesn't really talk a lot about retirement. He's, he's still here to compete for as long as he possibly can. can. But Scump has been talking about the next Call of Duty game and the fact that we've kind of been in this slide cancelling, era for the last 5 years or so. Of course, with the tac sprint as it is now, it's rather worse than it has been before. Like, I think you talked about Black Ops 4 in this clip, the fact that in that game, it wasn't so bad, the tac sprinting, or there wasn't tac sprinting in that game, but the slide cancelling wasn't so bad, like on your hands and stuff, and he doesn't really like the movement as it is nowadays compared to how it was back in the day. And he certainly reckons that, well, if kind of slide cancelling doesn't go away, it might well shorten his career to where he wants it to be. Now, whether that's 1 year, whether that's 2 year, whatever, but if the movement changes, he might well be willing to compete for a fair bit longer than he has already. So I'll share this clip for you guys. I'll also show another part of it actually where he talks about PC Call of Duty and the fact that there's so many things to set up and change on PC, so many complications, that actually a return to console might not be a bad idea.
That's what we should be talking about. Apparently there's no slide canceling next year.
You think that that's actually a thing?
That might have just prolonged my career.
Hey,
the slide canceling area.
This is what I'm saying. Okay, you say prolong my career, but it's not like you're out there leading some of these stats. So like you still got it. What are we talking about?
I still have it, man. But like the slide canceling era, I gotta see it come to an end.
People were saying the same thing about boots on the ground. Bring back boots on the ground.
BO4, MW. Cold War this year. We've had 4 years straight of slide canceling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over
Imagine
it.
if I had 4 years of jetpacks.
Yeah.
There could be another. I mean, there could be slide canceling next year. We don't know that.
We don't know that. I mean,
slide canceling is pros nerds breaking the game. Like that's no random now a person's, because everyone is teaching about it, but in the beginning that was just a cracked out nerd. Like
first 2 months of MW, everyone was just.
Well, there was slide canceling in BO4. It wasn't the same slide canceling, but there was a slide cancel.
It was a slide jump, right? Slide.
No, like you'd slide into a heady and you'd cancel your slide and like pop up. So it was a slide cancel, but it wasn't as like in depth as MWs where like you had to go into your settings and change, like hold the slide to tap the slide.
Vanguard's one is crazy.
I'm saying like ever since PC COD, every setup has been like you have to have all your settings right. You have to make sure your controller's overclocked, your PC is all good, all your settings on your PC are good, and you have to worry about your game settings. It's just there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and there's a lot of things that can make the game feel differently than it should. Which is honestly why I want to play on console, and I'm not gonna lie, because at least every single match you play, you're getting the same thing. Obviously, there's a higher ceiling with PC, but at least you're getting the same thing every single time, you know?
So if you guys haven't seen this already, I did just want to mention it because the rumor has it that there's going to be a dolphin dive in Modern Warfare 2 as well as sliding. Now, look, we don't know if there's going to be tac sprint in this game because I think to me that's kind of the key issue. I don't mind the sprinting and then the kind of slide cancelling because I think like there should be some sort of movement advantage that you can get as a better player in games. I felt like World War II was very dull in terms of there was really nothing in terms of movement you can actually abuse to like be a better player or to take advantage of players that aren't as good at the movement. Like you could do the punch dive thing. You could kind of jiggle on corners and like throw shoulders, right, to like, put your shoulder out there so people shoot at you and then you can re-challenge. There was some things that you could do if you were good with it, but they were really very limited things, right? A game like Black Ops Cold War even, right? You can slide around corners, take nice little gunfights. Now, I think with tac sprint is really where it gets taxing on the player's hands. I'm sure like Scump has been frustrated about this, right? And who knows exactly what has caused Illy's kind of thumb injury that he has had, but you imagine it wouldn't be helped by playing Call of Duty like 12 hours a day, especially in the current meta with their slide cancelling, and we've certainly seen more thumb injuries come up the last few years, the likes of Alex in Modern Warfare, for example, when this kind of first came into effect, and now we're seeing Illy, of course, this season. And these injuries certainly aren't helped by the design of the game, and I think Scump probably recognises that, to be honest, there. So definitely do wonder what he exactly means by this, because next year's game, it's Modern Warfare 2, it's probably going to be similar to Modern Warfare 2019, probably going to be the exact same movement mechanics. Who knows what they're going to decide to do, and of course they want to integrate it with Warzone and all that type of stuff. That has kind of been their idea. But at the same time, I think it's getting frustrating, it's getting rather tiresome. He was kind of saying that, look, we had 3 years of jetpacks, we've kind of had 3 years or so of this type of movement mechanics now with the, slide cancelling, tac sprint, so maybe it's about time they change it to something else, right, which maybe they will decide to do, because they went into jetpacks, they did the first 2 years of Advanced Warfare Black Ops 3, by the time it got to Infinite Warfare, they recognised, you guys remember the dislikes on that trailer, that everyone at that time was really frustrated with jetpacks and they wanted to go back to boots on the ground. It may be the case really that people are starting to get frustrated of this type of movement, and Scump Scump, you know, most certainly is. He wants it gone. Intriguing and respectful on that one for sure. Just wanted to mention this actually as well here from Krebsix. Thought it was kind of funny. But actually, as David puts out, Picasso829, thought this is awesome, right? The kind of comic he puts out right here. You guys can pretty much just see what's going on. I also love the little touch of the Batman, Fatman, whatever logo here with the Crimsix logo on here. But yeah, these two guys, pretty funny little back and forth, a hashtag Fatman Chronicles. Now, well, nice little clip here from Octane as we just talk about the games that are going on later today. So I did want to look at the kind of schedule, well, kind of the standings before we look at the schedule, just because the standings right now are absolutely insane. And as we said yesterday, Los Angeles Guerrillas struggling means that they are far from guaranteed to be in an excellent position here as the season progresses. Like, there are many teams below them that could be in for a decent run, but also subliners, they have to win pretty much every single series they play at this point, because there are plenty of teams below them right now that are doing phenomenal things, and then, well, at least, well, plenty of teams below them, at least in terms of what we would do for power rankings, but very similar to them in terms of standings in the league, where they're going to need to win every single series. Tonight they do have what should be pretty much a gimme, but well, here we go with the standings. So FaZe and Optic there, of course, number 1, number 2. Ravens Breach, they're pretty clearly number 3, number 4 right now, and then Guerrillas number 5 on their own at 115, but they've been losing a lot of series lately. And then after that, it gets absolutely ridiculous. Now, the subliners are only at 50 points, so they're still only 11th in the league right now. Look at all the teams above them. Toronto at 70, so they are in a very precarious spot. Surge, Mutineers, Los Angeles Thieves, and the Minnesota Rokkr all on 80, so this is just ridiculous. Now, only 8 of these teams are going to make it. If LAG win just a few more series, they should be okay for the season, but still, it's not guaranteed. It's possible that, you know, 4 of these teams here can actually go above 115 by the end of the season, especially because a lot of these teams here have some momentum in their favor. New York Subliners, for example, Minnesota Rokkr looking pretty good. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous down here. Every single series between teams of this caliber, like we've got Thieves versus Surge tonight, is incredibly important. Yesterday, for example, Ultra versus Minnesota Rokkr, that might prove to be, as the season progresses, an incredibly important game, because those 10 points difference, those 10-point differential between the two teams has put Rokkr in, you know, of course, they're now number 6, whereas Toronto all the way down here in 10th, right? So kind of crazy stuff. Just did want to mention this because I touched on it briefly yesterday, but just the idea of the bounty week, like the viewership yesterday, look, the matches on paper weren't exactly spectacular yesterday, but it also must be said that it's not like putting 10k up on the line for the teams to win is really like doing much for viewership, right? Like, you know, it's kind of cool, but they could do something interesting. Like, Mack has a couple of ideas. They kind of fans vote for a bounty MVP who gets some extra money, or like even some of the fans get some percentage of this if they do pick'ems or whatever. Like, there's many ways you could do it to actually engage the fans more, but I'm pretty sure like putting 10k on the line extra for the players isn't really motivating people to watch this over, you know, the Counter-Strike or whatever other sports are going on right now, and there are most certainly plenty. These are then the 4 games for today. So Paris versus New York, don't want to touch on that one too much, to be honest, because New York should be able to win this. They absolutely have to win this, right? Like, these points are very crucial for them, so this, well, should be a freebie for them. They should be 10k on the line here, but there's always like a decent percentage, might be 20%, might be 10%, 15% chance that Paris Legion win this series, but it's always possible. Los Angeles Thieves versus Surge is next up. I'm going to take Thieves here winning this one, maybe 3-1. I'm not really sure though. Like, I think that Seattle have a decent chance. They're looking okay. It really does come down to me like how Kenny performs today. If Kenny drops a 0.7, they can very much lose this series, because if Prin and Sib take over, like, that's a scary sign. And Mack, honestly, the last few series hasn't done all that much for Surge, and if he turns up here, it could be a big story. But I think the Thieves will just about have enough in the respawns. Not been convinced by Seattle so far. I wouldn't say it to blow it up, Bowl, but it's not all that far off. Then we've got Minnesota versus Florida. This is like such a tough series, because Minnesota, like, they've been looking really good as of late. Florida Mutineers have a lot of firepower, though it seems a lot of the times in respawns, but I do have faith that Rokkr can win this series. I feel like they're more consistent in their search and destroys, and I'm just not confident in Mutineers when it comes down the stretch of like a clutch situation, but I feel like this will go game 5, so I'm going to take Minnesota 3-2, another classic Minnesota game 5, like series victory or whatever, because these guys always take series of this, and if you guys know, like Virtus Pro, or former Virtus Pro, now called Outsiders in Counter-Strike, they're known for taking every single series the distance. Minnesota Rokkr are basically that team in my opinion. And then Boston versus FaZe to finish out the day. This could be interesting, right? But in fairness, Boston, every time they play FaZe, I don't know if it's a mental thing, but I swear they just like collapse when they play FaZe every single time. So if they put up a fight here, I'll be surprised. But I'm actually going to put it in a FaZe 3-0 here. I think they're going to come with the fire this week. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us the YouTube gods it's a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And upgrade the competitive quality community. Thank you guys as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.